This is Titletown. Fargo, North Dakota is home to four-time defending champion North Dakota State. Can the Bison continue their drive for 5, or will Northern Iowa take down the Dakota dynasty? The NCAA FCS Football Championship is presented by Northwestern Mutual. It's the quarterfinals of the FCS playoffs and a conference clash. Two teams from Missouri Valley, Northern Iowa, and North Dakota State. Last night, two teams already punched their ticket to the semifinals. The number 1 overall seed, Jacksonville State, moving on with a big win against Charleston Southern, and Richmond with an upset over the 2 seed, Illinois State, which means if North Dakota State wins today, the Bison would host a semifinal game. If Northern Iowa wins, they would go to Richmond. Good afternoon, Anish Shroff alongside former Longhorn Ahmad Brooks. Yes, North Dakota State is your 4-time defending champion, but at times this season they didn't look the part. They had to endure some growing pains. Their starting quarterback, who's an NFL talent, goes down with a wrist injury, and yet here they are in the quarterfinals, and last week they did flash that championship pedigree. Yeah, and despite losing what I believe one of the best 2-minute quarterbacks in the country in Carson Wentz, they've inherited a young man who hasn't lost a start in Easton Stick. And what makes him special is he's poised. He has great command. And this kid does not play like a freshman. He plays like a veteran. Today he'll be tested, though, by a very talented UNI defense. Today will be his biggest challenge because it's the playoffs, it's at home, and it's an opportunity for them to keep on winning. The challenge for most teams that come into this building, the Fargo Dome, is the environment. It's as intimidating a venue as there is in the FCS. That affects most teams. It's not going to affect Northern Iowa. No, they're not scared. Not one bit of the Bison and what their reputation is. They respect them, and why would they be? They came here in the Fargo Dome earlier this year in October, took them down to the wire. It took Carson Wentz with an outstanding fourth-quarter comeback. And then you look at these two guys, maybe the most dominant duo when you look at quarterback and running back that FCS has. Aaron Bailey is a man, big physical runner, and Tyvis Smith provides the perfect balance when they need to hand it off to their back. Two talented players that you'll see today. Both had 200-plus yards last week. Can the 4-time defending champs keep rolling? Or will today be the day there's a changing of the guard?
The 2015 NCAA FCS Football Championship is presented by Northwestern Mutual, proud to be an official financial planning partner of the NCAA, and in part by T-Mobile. Switch to the Data Strong Network.
About ready for kickoff here at the Fargo Dome in Fargo, North Dakota. There's Chris Kleiman, the head coach for North Dakota State. He's a Northern Iowa alum. In fact, he coached for the Panthers head coach, Mark Farley. A lot of strong ties for Kleiman to Cedar Falls. And Mark Farley told us this week, this game is all about power football. He likened it to the Oklahoma drill. Yeah, I thought that was a great analogy. When you watch these two teams on film, it's clear. Physicality is a part of both of their games. They like to win at the line of scrimmage, and they both do it with dominant running games. Panthers will start from their own 25-yard line, and the quarterback for UNI, Aaron Bailey, the transfer from Illinois. He set conference records this season for rushing yards and rushing touchdowns by a quarterback. He's not the most developed passer, but you don't have to be when you've got the skill that this young man has. He's 226 pounds. He's a load to tackle. So guys today will have to run their feet, hit him with everything they've got. But Aaron Bailey will make some plays today. The question is, how many? And if you've never watched a game here, this crowd is a factor. When Northern Iowa has the ball, they will be loud, they will be on their feet, and it'll be pin drop silence when the Bison have it. Bailey comes out throwing, pass over the middle, and it's caught by Charles Brown at the 32 for a gain of 7 yards. So we did not expect a pass. We did not expect many passes in this game, but we see one on the first play.
And I think it was the right call. Get him comfortable. It was a short passing game. Try to find a rhythm, because we all know that North Dakota State is expecting Bailey and Smith to run the football.
This is Bailey. He'll keep it on the read option. Bailey into the secondary, and a first down for the Panthers. Tackle made by Pierre G. Tucker. Impact players, Ahmad, when Northern Iowa has the football.
We talked about this dominant running game, and it starts with the running back, Tyvis Smith, an excellent runner of the football, very good on the perimeter, and on the opposite side, one of the best defensive players in all of FCS, Nick DeLuca. Look for him to plug the middle.
Bailey back to the air, dumps it off to Smith. And Tyvis Smith gets to midfield for a gain of 3. This is a Northern Iowa team that started the season 2-4. One loss was to FBS Iowa State, the other 3 to playoff teams. The Panthers have won 7 straight since. Their running game has been a force down the stretch. Out of the pistol, here's Tyvis Smith. Smith takes it into Bison territory. Tyvis Smith, the junior from Davenport, Iowa. He's really emerged over the second half of the season as the go-to runner for Northern Iowa.
He's running with a lot of confidence right now. And when you can get into a rhythm, early on in the year, you didn't see that happen, but you saw his size, 6'3", also another big physical runner of the football for this Panther team, and he's really come on here of late.
Smith on the sweep on 3rd and 4, breaks one tackle, and he's going to be close to a first down. He's got the first down.
You see the many ways that they use him. He's a playmaker. They'll use him in various ways. This time here, you see him come in short motion across the field, hand the ball off to him, and as I just said, the previous play, really good on the perimeter, though he picked up an excellent block from Charles Brown on the outside, the wide receiver. Those are the types of plays you'll see him run all game long.
There's Brown on the screen. And finally brought to the ground by the free safety, Trey Dempsey, after a gain of 2. In a lot of ways, this game's strength against strength. North Dakota State with a great rush defense. Northern Iowa, a great rushing offense. And the reverse is true as well. The Panthers play the run well, and the Bison can run the ball well. Darian Miller with the carry. And he's close to another UNI first down. Miller, a transfer from Kansas out of Blue Springs, Missouri. And that last run enough to move the chains. Strong opening drive by UNI. That was Bailey straight ahead. I'm not sure if Northern Iowa was aware that last play was a first down. Now there's a little bit of confusion. On the far sideline, they had already signaled first down, and you saw UNI run a play that you'd run on a short situation.
Yeah, and they're trying to sort it out now because the first down, there was a first down marker up, but it only had a yard to go. So it was confusing for everybody.
Well, the marker's showing second down now. And it's going to be 2nd and 7. So some confusion there on the UNI sideline, and maybe confusion with what the officials were doing as well.
Yeah, and Farley's letting them know about it. He's giving the official an earful.
As Tyvis Smith powers ahead to the 25-yard line. Another 3rd and short coming up for UNI. This is a Panthers team that knocked off Eastern Illinois in round 1, then went on the road in round 2 and beat Portland State.
In these situations, the Panthers like to run the quarterback power. They bring in their muscle, both of their tight ends, Lehman and Rohr, and they run right in behind them.
Here's Smith in motion. Bailey fakes it to him. He'll take a shot downfield. And that is caught for a touchdown by Brandon Smith.
Let's see if he gets this thing down. C.J. Smith, an excellent cornerback there, was in prime position. Didn't look like he timed his jump all that well, and that was the difference there for the taller Smith at 6 foot to get over him and catch the football. Bottom line, though, is he was in good coverage, and if you're Northern Iowa, you come out, everybody in the stadium probably thought it was going to be a run. They found a matchup that is really not favorable to them if you think about how good C.J. Smith is. They went to it anyway. Aaron Bailey with a good throw in the back of the end zone and a great catch to bring it down for the first score of the ball game.
Aaron Bailey, a strong opening drive, 4 out of 4 passing, 37 yards. The point after by Schmadtke is good. Brandon Smith's 3rd catch of the season. He's a transfer from the North Dakota State College of Science. We told you Mark Farley and Northern Iowa would not be intimidated by this Fargo Dome environment. 10 plays, 75 yards. They marched the field and fired the opening salvo in this quarterfinal.
That was an impressive drive. And you heard us even in the open talk about how Aaron Bailey was still trying to develop himself and grow as a passer. I thought the offensive staff for Northern Iowa did a good job of making throws short. The only shot he took down the field was the touchdown. The other 3 throws were short throws, and 2 of them, in fact, were screens. So to get him in a good rhythm really should back off this Bison defense and force them to have to worry about the perimeter as well.
Special teams has been a strength for North Dakota State. Number 1 in the FCS in the kick return game. And Bruce Anderson, the deep man, took one back last week in the playoff win against Montana. Anderson from the 5. Accelerates across the 25 and finally tripped up at the 31-yard line. Redshirt freshman Easton Stick, the kid with the hockey name, is the quarterback for the Bison. He took over for Carson Wentz. Wentz, an NFL-type talent, broke his wrist mid-season. Stick stepped in 6-0 as a starting quarterback.
And I also think the relationship between Wentz and the young freshman Stick have really helped. These two watch film together during the week, and Wentz has really taken on a mentor role, and that really helps when you're a young player and you don't have the experience. To come out and have an older player really share that information certainly does help your game.
Empty set on 1st and 10 for the Bison. And it's Stick to the air. His pass is tipped and nearly intercepted. This is a very good Northern Iowa secondary as we take a look at our impact players when the Bison have it.
Absolutely. Andrew Bonnet, he plays everywhere. They have him listed as a tight end. He'll line up at fullback. He'll line up in the slot. A very vital part of this offense. And on the opposite side, Carter Schultz, a very interesting story. Started out the year as a defensive tackle, moved out to defensive end, and since that time has really helped this defense establish itself against stopping the run.
A handoff to King Frazier, and he is swallowed up after a short gain. 3rd down coming up. Jared Farley, the son of UNI's head coach Mark Farley, on the stop. North Dakota State opened the season with a loss on ESPN to Montana. They lost their starting quarterback Carson Wentz to an injury mid-season. They played better down the stretch, avenged that loss to Montana with a 2nd-round win here at the Fargo Dome last week. Easton Stick at quarterback. This is not really a passing offense. And we have our first flag.
False start. Offense, number 75. 5-yard penalty. Still third down.
That's the center, Austin Kunert. To go back to Carson Wentz, who's talked about as a fringe first-round talent, he did practice all week, and Chris Kleiman kind of threw that out in the press to maybe give Northern Iowa something to think about. Wentz is getting closer. From our meetings with the coaches yesterday, it would be a surprise, though, if we saw him this afternoon.
Absolutely. I don't think he plays, and I think that's the right decision to make. If they can make it past this round and past the Panthers, you'd look for him to maybe be an option next week.
Outside pressure. Here's the screen to Frazier. Unable to break the tackle. It's Tim Kilfoy, the Rover, with a big stop, and 3 and out go the Bison.
That was a big play saving tackle because they had the blockers out in front, and Kilfoy just does a good job of fighting through and tackling the back, because if he doesn't make that play, he gets that sideline and he runs for days.
There's Ben LeCompte, who had a 71-yard punt last week. This one will take a North Dakota State bounce inside the 20. LeCompte has been a weapon for the Bison. He flips the field, a 53-yard punt, but it's UNI's defense stepping up.
Yeah, big-time plays like this, excellent tackle, fighting off the block, getting the back down, Panther football.
It was about 30 degrees this morning. That's balmy for Fargo this time of the year. The tailgaters out in full force. I had some folks tweeting me last night that they were going to be tailgating starting at 6 a.m.
I love it. Love the energy and the excitement here this place brings.
Planning for Success is brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. What are we looking for, Ahmad?
It's about winning the rushing battle. When you look at these two teams, I believe the team that wins at the line of scrimmage and gets their running game going first and longer will be the team that wins this ball game. 38 rush yards already for the Panthers in that first drive. They started out hot and on fire.
Tyvis Smith gets the call on a handoff from Bailey. He's taken down after a gain of 2 by Nick DeLuca, a terrific middle linebacker for North Dakota State. DeLuca finished second in the voting for Conference Defensive Player of the Year.
He's big, he's physical, he's fast, and when he hits you, ball carriers tend to drop. Vital part of this defense.
Corners back off the line on second down, and we've got movement up front.
False start. Offense, number 85. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
Now, we knew we would see this at some point, but the noise is quite the advantage for the Bison. When you start to think about even how they communicate offensively, the Panthers, all hand signals, because you can't hear yourself think down on the football field. So when you see those types of false starts, it is credit to this crowd, and they are truly the 12th man for this football team.
Play action. Incomplete, intended for Smith. Mark Farley, UNI's head coach, told us earlier this week, when it gets loud in here, it can get louder than Nebraska, and you've played at Nebraska.
Yeah, it's amazing, and in being in here for the first time, it's clear to see that these fans are a difference. And even being a player who played at the University of Texas, you said, I remember going to Nebraska, this place is loud.
Over the middle, incomplete, intended for the tight end, Lehman. So Sam Cooter will come on to kick it away for the first time today. Eric Perkins, the deep man for North Dakota State. In a game like this, field position is going to be vital.
And you've got two of the best punters in all of FCS competing here today, and you said it, field position, the ability to be able to change it. Can they do it here?
Cooter, the second team all-conference punter with a nice high kick. Perkins gets crunched as he signaled for the fair catch, and that's going to be a penalty on Northern Iowa and Edwin Young. He clearly signaled for that fair catch, and Young crunched him. You have to let the receiver catch the ball.
It's so unfortunate. Sometimes, as a gunner, you get caught up trying to get off the block, get down to the punt returner, that you don't always see the fair catch.
Kick catch interference, kicking team, number 27. 15-yard penalty, first down, North Dakota State.
Yeah, and as I said, as a gunner, when you're running downfield, sometimes you get caught up and you don't see that. And especially if a returner makes that signal very early. He actually timed it pretty good had it not been a fair catch, but you see the wave there, clear signal. Young man just didn't see it, an unfortunate play. How tough is the returner here for North Dakota State? He gets back up, walks to the sideline, no problem there. He took the shot and kept on ticking.
The end result, excellent starting field position for the Bison. And yes, we know it's spelled Bison. It is pronounced Bison. Always get a few people wondering during every broadcast, why can't you guys pronounce Bison correctly? The correct way to say it in Fargo is Bison. Easton Stick on first down. That's Bruce Anderson, the freshman. He picks up 8, second and 2. Anderson, a guy who this coaching staff feels very good about. He's just a freshman. He's out of Florida. He's made some big strides down the stretch this season. They think he's got a chance to be a special talent. First carry of the game for Chase Morlock, and he's able to pick up a first down for North Dakota State. There's Carson Wentz, the MVP of last year's championship game for the Bison. Mel Kiper has him as the number 3 draft-eligible QB. Todd McShay of Scouts Inc. has him at number 4. It's a big loss, but it's also a testament to this North Dakota State program. They are where they are right now with their number 2 QB. There's a screen pass. And that is Dimitri Williams for a gain of 11.
And as you were talking about Carson, one of the things that stands out to me on film, and we've been privileged enough to see Christian Hackenberg this year, Paxton Lynch, 2 of the other top quarterbacks in the country according to NFL scouts. And what I've noticed about Carson the most is I'm not sure if there's a better fourth quarter, 2-minute quarterback in all of the country. This kid, when the game's on the line, steps his game up. And you saw that the last time these 2 teams met.
You saw it last year in the postseason as well. That's R.J. Urzendowski, one of the postseason heroes from a season ago. And Urzendowski and Easton Stick were high school teammates at Creighton Prep in Omaha.
I'm also told Urzendowski has the best hands on the team, just a very fluid when catching the football, and you saw him there. He's got enough fluidity and mobility to make people miss in the open field, and they really like him on those bubble screens to get him out in space and pick up good yardage like he did just now.
Andrew Bonnet in motion. There's his vintage North Dakota State, pure power football, and King Frazier able to pick up the first.
Yeah, that was power football. Brought in a bunch of big bodies, ran it right up the middle. King Frazier, that is their short yardage back, and probably the guy that they trust most in those situations where it's 3rd and short or 2nd and short situations.
Back to Frazier, right up the gut. Hammers his way all the way to the 1-yard line. Second and goal coming up for North Dakota State. Looking to get back to the semifinals.
Haven't seen stick run. This will be the perfect opportunity to get the quarterback on the move.
This is Morlock in for the score. Extra point by Peterson is good.
This is how this drive started, with a penalty. Catch interference. They came back, made the Panthers play pounding football. Round and pound.
I want you looking at me. Tell me what you see. Illuminated by the hand of God.
Tonight, after the presentation of the Heisman Trophy at 9:30, it's 30 for 30. 4 falls of Buffalo, looking back at that Bills dynasty that won 4 straight AFC championships. And a former North Dakota State Bison, who's now the radio analyst, Bill Hansen, was on 3 of those AFC championship teams. And I know, Ahmad Brooks, you played years later for the Buffalo Bills as well. There is some fondness in the way Bills fans look back at that era, and also a lot of disappointment.
Yeah, the city still feels it. But, you know, I came in 2002 after Phil had left, so a lot of those stories of that entire group of players that were able to accomplish those great feats, and I can't wait to watch it. I know it's going to bring back some sad memories, but at the same time, that was a fine run the Buffalo Bills had.
Here's Charles Brown. Bounces off the defender and dropped at the 17. While North Dakota State has been in 4 straight title games, they've won them all. The Bison and FCS dynasty. Look at that all-time playoff record in these FCS playoffs. 14-0 at home in the FCS playoffs. 68-5 since 2011. They come into this game having won 17 consecutive postseason games.
Mind-blowing.
Tyvis Smith, it's the reverse. Here's Miller across the 20 and pushed out of bounds by Champion.
Just trying to get some misdirection here. You see the entire North Dakota State flowing. Picks up a great block from quarterback Aaron Bailey, able to get the edge. Good first down yardage. And this is a team, UNI, that when they can get chunks of yardage like that on first down, they really manage themselves on second and third.
High snap. Smith gets the call straight up the gut. And there's the power running of Tyvis Smith. He picks up 6. Smith and Bailey, both 1,000-yard rushers. It's the first time that UNI has had 2,000-yard rushers in the same season. And that running back position was a question mark going into the year. You lose David Johnson, who's now with the Arizona Cardinals. Johnson was the school's all-time leading rusher, but Smith has seized the role late in the year. This is Bailey looking for some room and bottled up at the line of scrimmage. What Chris Kleiman told us yesterday was he doesn't want to see Aaron Bailey beat North Dakota State with his feet. He said if Tyvis Smith gets the ball 30 times, the Bison can live with that. They don't want to see the ball in Bailey's hands.
That's part of the reason why I thought that was a bad decision there on the zone read. Looked like Smith had the edge, and that time Bailey decided to keep it. I know he's trying to keep the defense honest, but at the same time, like you just said, this North Dakota State defense is trying to take him out.
And that time Bailey wrapped up for a loss of 3. Brad Ambrosius got there first.
Yeah, this is just great defense, and you can see here several players with their eyes on the quarterback. Bailey is the focal point for the Bison. They know that if they can push him back and put him in difficult situations like this right now, behind the chains, not the ideal situation for this offense and not the ideal situation for Aaron Bailey.
Something to remember, Northern Iowa playing without its starting center, Robert Ratchey. He's out with an injury. Bison rush 4, Bailey under duress. Chased, throws on the run, dangerous pass, and it's ruled incomplete. Doris Fountain could not stay in bounds.
Just great pursuit there. A simple 4-man rush from the Bison. And you'll see it here. They've only rushed 4 players, but at the end of this play, takes a big shot from number 41, MJ Stump. Fine job there putting the quarterback on the ground, and Bailey there did have Fountain in open field. He just couldn't put the pass on target.
So UNI, winners of 7 in a row, forced to punt again. Here's Perkins, muffed it, and able to fall on it at the 30 after a 43-yard kick. Season recap for North Dakota State. It all started on ESPN with a loss to Montana, 38-35. The Grizz winning on a last-second touchdown. In Week 5, North Dakota State had to rally in the fourth quarter to beat these Northern Iowa Panthers. And then in Week 6, the very following game, the Bison's 26-game home win streak ended against South Dakota. Carson Wentz got hurt, but in the last 6 games with Easton Stick at quarterback, North Dakota State finished strong, and you saw the margin that they outscored their opponents by, as we have another penalty.
False start. Offense, number 66, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
That's Zach Johnson. They call the offensive line for the Bison here the Rams. It has been arguably the foundation of this Dakota dynasty.
There is no question about it. When you look at how big and physical they are, they're the identity of this team. Got the meat, the muscle, the understanding there to really help this team master the run game.
Chase Morlock, who scored North Dakota State's touchdown, takes it to the 29, and he's tackled by Brett McMakin. McMakin, the linebacker for Northern Iowa, has been outstanding this year. More than 110 tackles, and in the first meeting against the Bison, 2 forced fumbles and a pick to go along with 13 stops.
He does a great job of fighting off blocks, finding the football. When you play in the middle of the field, you know you're going to have to take on blocks from centers, guards, and tackles, and he does a good job of focusing on the football, fighting through traffic, and making plays.
Play action. Stick. Incomplete, intended for Erzendowski. These Northern Iowa corners are terrific. The secondary, 4 seniors, 3 all-conference performers.
And that may be the best player on the football field in terms of in the secondary, and he wasn't one of those players on the first team, which is mind-boggling to me. But when you start talking about the skill set that this team has, they are very aggressive. Mackinton here is the player that is going to get in your face. He'll press you. He'll cover you all over the field. And then you talk about DeAndre Hall, the defensive player of the year in the Missouri Valley Football Conference, moved from corner and now really finding himself at safety.
There's the blitz. Stick under pressure, and down he goes. Sacked by Jared Farley.
Big play there. Anytime you can get up to this third down, you'll see it here from the end zone. Just watch. They bring a simple 5-man pressure, some confusion there in the middle of that offensive line between the center and the guard. And the guy that he was trying to look for downfield was completely locked up. Farley, the coach's son, wearing that famous 46 that his father also wore, making a play and a big sack here to end the quarter.
A stalemate after 15 minutes in Fargo. UNI and North Dakota State tied at 7. lot of early morning tailgating. That looks like a Bloody Mary mix. The Bison faithful, as they always are, out in full force.
In the snow, I might add, by the way.
By the way, it was a dusting. I know you're a Texas boy, but it was a dusting.
Right, leave me alone.
The All-American Ben LeCompte to punt to start the second quarter. And this is a booming punt. Mackinson Dorleant lets it bounce. Now LeCompte is a weapon. We've said it a couple of times.
Wow.
That's a 62-yard boom shot. Northern Iowa lost its season opener in Ames 31-7. UNI, in fact, started 2-4. They lost 3 straight at one point to Illinois State, North Dakota State, and Western Illinois, all playoff teams. But they finished strong, winning their last 7. And as a team, the Panthers broke their school record in rushing yards, 2,000-yard rushers, and quarterback Bailey and running back Tyvis Smith. That's Tyvis Smith after a short gain to Luka on the stop. Initially, Northern Iowa began the year with a 2-quarterback system. It was Aaron Bailey and Sawyer Cole-Morgan. And those two rotated. Cole-Morgan suffered a concussion against North Dakota State, suffered another one in UNI's next game. That did it for him, but that also allowed Bailey to be the guy, and he's taken off since. Smith up the middle, he's got a seam, and takes it to the 30-yard line for a gain of 13. The safety Trey Dempsey with the tackle.
Well, and you see there, you wonder, well, how does he get to the second level nearly untouched? They are focusing on Bailey, and that was a good job of blocking up front. And both of these teams defensively have really tried to stuff numbers inside of the box, and they are playing man-to-man on the edges, really opening up opportunities like we saw earlier for throws on the outside, on the perimeter. That time there, back to the power running game.
Smith, the deep back, and the pistol. Bailey will keep it, a little option now. And this is Miller who scampers out of bounds just inside the 40, a pickup of 8. It took a while for UNI to find its identity. They had a new offensive coaching staff, a new offensive coordinator, but they figured it out around midseason that this was going to be a running football team. This
team has adapted well. I mean, you talked about Sawyer and when he went down and what they had to do with Bailey. And this coaching staff, they sat down and they said, what is our strength? And they've been able to actually highlight that now, and you see it once again, that running game. That is what now anchors this Panther offense.
That was Tyvis Smith again, who's got 40 yards so far. Smith coming off 4 straight 100-yard rushing games. Initially, too, the philosophy was to go hurry up, to go no huddle. They still don't huddle, but they've slowed the tempo a little bit. You can see that today. Smith once again looking for room to the outside. There's nothing there. No gain. The FCS playoffs continue with the semifinals next weekend on ESPN2 and ESPNU. For more information, go to NCAA.com, the official online home for all 89 NCAA championships. Kenny Schroff, Ahmad Brooks, Mike Yanagita with you here at the Fargo Dome. All tied up at 7. Here in the second quarter, both teams traded scores in the opening stanza. Bailey chased. Gets away from Tangway, sheds a tackle, and then finally subdued by Nate Tangway, the nose guard, after a short pickup, 3rd and 8.
That was just great downfield coverage. They were looking for their wide receiver Fountain, and Champion was all over him, and you saw there the rush flushed him outside of the pocket, and now you've got another 3rd down. UNI has shown a tendency on 3rd down in these distances to move the pocket with Bailey, get him on the move, to give him an opportunity to run the football, but also try to complete the ball downfield.
Bailey's going to run. And tripped up by DeLuca, 4th down.
That's what makes this kid so special. We saw a tackle earlier that was from Kilfoy. Now you come back, and the Bison say, now it's our turn. Great job of getting to the appropriate angle, and it's hard, especially early on in the ball game, trying to gauge how fast the guy is and where to aim your angle. That time there, it didn't matter. Nick DeLuca is one of those types of players that when the ball is out there and they roll the pigskin out, he's ready to play.
There's the punt by Cooter. And a fair catch by C.J. Smith at the 11. 7-7 FCS quarterfinals in Fargo. You're watching the NCAA FCS playoffs. The championship game will be in Frisco, Texas. Yesterday, Jacksonville State, the 1 seed, moved on to the semis. And of note for both participants in today's game, Richmond knocking off another team from the Missouri Valley and Illinois State. The Redbirds were last year's national runner-up, almost beat North Dakota State. What that means with Illinois State losing, if the Bison win today, they will host in the semifinals. If UNI wins, the Panthers would have to go to Richmond. There's King Frazier. There has not been much running room for this North Dakota State offense. They were averaging less than 2 yards per carry prior to that run.
Yeah, and the Panthers doing a good job of gap control. You know, one way to stop the run is you've got to make sure you're disciplined. When your coach tells you you've got a gap, you've got to be in the A gap. You've got to be in the B gap. And what the Panthers are doing right now, they're playing very disciplined, and they're forcing the runners to have to balance things outside, and they're also very secure in their tackling abilities right now.
There's that diamond formation from North Dakota State. The ball comes out, and UNI has it. Jared Farley recovered it. DeAndre Hall forced the fumble. Hall, the conference defensive player of the year. Take another look.
Now this is just a savvy play. That was intentional. Nothing about that was an accident. That's why he's so special. And one of the best defensive players in all of FCS. Just a fine job of not only finding the football, but having the awareness and the ability to knock the football out. Big turnover here for UNI. Can this offense capitalize?
Huge turnover, huge opportunity for the Panthers. And for Hall, that was the 9th turnover he's forced this season. 3 forced fumbles, 6 picks. Bailey's gonna run. Looking for the edge, it's not there. DeLuca, who else? Tyvis Smith up the middle looking for room, and he got a yard. So 3rd down now coming up for Northern Iowa. Ball at the 22.
One of the most difficult things to do as a defensive player is what they call sudden change. When you've got a turnover, you're on the sideline making adjustments, you come out, you've got to get your bearings back, find out where you're at. You see it here. Boy, it is loud in this place, but this defense doing a fine job of coming back here, forcing the 3rd down, and they hold him here to a field goal attempt.
Here's the blitz. Bailey tries to get away. He does. Bailey's got some room. Breaks the tackle, lunging for that 1st down, but he's going to be marked out of bounds at the 18.
That's the third great open field tackle that I've seen in this ball game in the first half. And if you're a young football player watching, this is how you do it. Member of the secondary, Trey Dempsey, he's one-on-one. If he doesn't make this play, he does just enough to force Bailey short of the first down, forces a field goal attempt. 3 outstanding open field tackles in the first half of this game.
Michael Schmadtke was an All-American last year. Battled hamstring injuries earlier this year. From 32 for the lead. And UNI back on top. There is little margin for error in a game like this. The Panthers force the turnover, get 3 off of it.
The 2015 NCAA FCS Football Championship, brought to you by AT&T, mobilizing your world, and Audi, challenge all givens.
This is a game that is physically and mentally taxing. These are 2 power football teams. A lot of hard hits, a lot of collisions in this first half. Northern Iowa with a 3-point lead after a fumble by the Bison. The Panthers able to get a 32-yard field goal by Michael Schmadtke. Short kick. Chase Morlock to the 25.
How about this tackle? Let's break it down here. You're going to see the safety here in the middle of the field, Trey Dempsey. Now, he's going to be in coverage. He's going to work his way all the way to this side of the field. This is just a brilliant play. You watch him here early on when the play starts, great communication. Now he's in coverage, but he sees the quarterback break the pocket, the awareness to know when to come off of coverage. Now, this is just a sophomore safety. They've got a sophomore and a freshman back there, but that open field tackle was textbook. That's how you do it when you're trying to bring down a player like Bailey in the open field.
Bruce Anderson on first down, and the speedster dropped from behind by Farley, who has had a monster first half. Ahmad, you alluded to this earlier. He's the son of head coach Mark Farley, changed his number to number 46. It was the same number his dad wore when his dad played at UNI. His older brother, Jake, also wore 46. So 3 generations of Farley have worn that number, and that meant so much to his dad, Mark Farley.
He got emotional talking about it, and if you're a parent, you understand what that means. It's just one thing for your kid to want to do what you've done. It's just an awesome feeling.
On 2nd and 9, stick, and that's dropped by Erzendowski. 3rd down. This UNI defense has been in full control. The one score they gave up was on a short field. The Bison have had a lot of trouble moving the ball. Give this UNI defense a ton of credit.
Absolutely. I mean, in that time there, you could tell because they've been in the face of Stick all game long, I thought that time Stick probably got the ball out of his hand a little bit sooner. He could have let the play develop a little bit more, but that is based on the fact that the Panthers right now are doing everything they can to stop North Dakota from winning a 5th straight national title.
Another 3rd and 9. Stick's going to take a shot downfield, and that is caught. Far sideline, Zach Vra, the school's all-time leader in catches, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns.
It looked like Carson Wentz on that play. I mean, he throws it. You see where he's at. This is from one hash all the way to the far sideline. One of the most difficult throws to make, but how about the concentration and the catch there? Just fantastic. Good play there that could get this offense the momentum they need and the rhythm to move the ball downfield.
Lance Dunn up the middle, and he is to the 43-yard line. Dunn, a redshirt freshman out of Waterloo, Iowa. He was injured the first time these two teams met. And if there is a perfect foil to end North Dakota State's run, UNI fits the profile. Earlier this season, they had multiple leads nearly knocked off the Bison. That game featured 5 lead changes before Carson Wentz rallied North Dakota State in the fourth quarter. Last year, UNI beat North Dakota State handily at the Unidome. Ken Frazier still on his feet. Well, the head judge is saying he's down. So loud you can't hear the whistle sometimes.
I don't know about this one. It looked like he might have stayed up on this one. Well, now looking at it again, maybe that elbow gets down.
Can't review it either. Once that whistle is blown, you can't review it either.
Let's take a look at it, because you watch it here. And this is a great call by the officials. I want you to watch the elbow. If that elbow gets down on the ground, he's down. There you see.
Sure, yeah.
That's close. But there you see the elbow, it looks like, where it was down on the ground. But give him credit, Frazier, for trying to fight through this tackle after taking a big hit there from Hall.
He sold it well. Instead, it'll be 3rd and 2 from the 47. That's Morlock, and he's going to be short. So 4th down now coming up for the Bison.
Yeah, this is 4th down territory, I believe.
You're still in minus territory here. And Ben LeCompte has been a stud in this first half, but the offense is on the field. Chris Kleiman told us if they get to the 45 to the 30 of the opposition, that could be 4-down territory. And when you have a guy like Ben LeCompte who can flip the field, who can pin you deep, especially this early in the game, I can understand the decision.
Yeah, I don't. I just think you've got an offensive line that started to pick up some rhythm, and there you've got a yard. If you can't make a yard in football, you don't deserve the opportunity to have the ball.
Delay a game, offense, 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
Just providing some extra padding here with this outstanding punter.
Among the FCS career punting leaders, 4th all-time. We had to add one more drop line because we had to get Pumpy Tutors in there.
Yeah, that's great. Great name. 62-yard punt on his last punt.
Wow. Another great punt by LeCompte. He's been the star for the Bison in this first half. Tonight on ESPN at 8 o'clock Eastern, it's the presentation of the Heisman Trophy. Derrick Henry of Alabama, Christian McCaffrey of Stanford, and Clemson quarterback Deshaun Watson, the 3 finalists. Ahmad Brooks, who's your guy?
Well, now, we've seen Deshaun Watson up close and personal this year. I've been very impressed with this young man. Christian McCaffrey, you see it there, the NCAA record. But if I had to choose, I'm going with Derrick Henry, the running back, who almost got 2,000 yards on the ground and is a force for the Crimson Tide.
I'm going to disagree. I'm going to go McCaffrey. Here's Bailey. A transfer out of Illinois, and he is taken down in a sea of yellow after a gain of 2. Tyvis Smith wrestled to the ground. It'll bring up 3rd down, and we say hi to Chris Cotter in the studio.
Hello, Anish. Halftime just around the corner. I'll be here in studio with Ed Cunningham of the co-national champion 1991 Washington Huskies. We'll talk about the Heisman Trophy. That's going to be awarded tonight. We'll get Ed's thoughts on who he thinks should take home the Harbor. Also, with such a great playoff in the FCS, why don't we have this many teams in the FBS playoff? We'll talk about that, too. It's coming up.
Would have beat Miami.
On 3rd down, this is Smith to the edge. Tackled by DeLuca. Let's see where they spot him. And a good spot there by the line judge, and a 1st down for UNI.
He picked up some good blocks on the outside for number 16 Cunningham and number 87 Rohr. And we've seen that for the 2nd time today. But what about the finishing effort there of Smith to be able to hurdle the defender who was going down low? That's where you want to tackle a big guy like this, as you see him now lined up in the slot.
Play action, Bailey to the air, throws far side. C.J. Smith immediately makes the tackle. Catch by Fountain. Fountain, the top receiver for UNI. At 110 yards and a long touchdown in the first meeting against the Bison. Both teams came out throwing early. It's been a run-heavy offense on both sides since. Play action, Bailey back to the air, going downfield, broken up. No flag, C.J. Smith, the all-conference corner on the coverage.
That was outstanding coverage. Now, you go back to the touchdown that he gave up earlier in the ball game. Didn't time his jump as well, but that is perfect technique. He turns into the wide receiver, looks back for the football, makes a play on the ball. You can beat on your chest when you make plays like that. 51 passes defended, shutdown corner on the outside for the Bison.
Against the blitz, incomplete, and that was Fountain blanketed once again by C.J. Smith.
Yeah, you don't find him out of position a lot of times, and he's just one of those competitors. You know, when you play cornerback, you've got to think a little bit differently. You've got to believe that you can stop every pass. And that particular play there, just doing a fine job of making sure he covered his man downfield and made another play on the football.
Eric Perkins to return this punt. Cooter's had a good day punting the ball for UNI. There's Perkins, he'll have a chance. And great punt coverage by the Panthers. Defensively, it's been Jared Farley setting the tone for Northern Iowa.
Now you watch him here, just a relentless pursuer of the football. And to play defense, particularly linebacker, you've got to think a little differently. You've got to embrace physical contact. You've got to be tough. And this young man epitomizes that.
Well, it's these situations where North Dakota State misses Carson Wentz. You alluded to his prowess in the 2-minute drill. This is not exactly Easton Stick's forte.
You're absolutely right.
Five wide. Stick moves the pocket, throws near sideline. Morlock with the catch. And it's gone at the 35-yard line. North Dakota State normally owns the time of possession battle, number one in the nation. They had the ball for 40-plus minutes last week against Montana. Today, UNI has dominated that stat, plus 6 minutes. Stick under pressure, and down he goes. That looked like a coverage sack. It's Carter Schultz who set the single-season UNI record for TFLs.
Offensive coordinator for the Bison, Matt Ince, said that some of the sacks early on in the year were because the quarterback held the ball too long. And I think on this particular play, if you're Easton Stick and you've had outstanding running abilities, to stand in the pocket for that long, I think it's an ill-advised decision. Use your feet, get outside of the pocket. UNI only brought a 4-man rush. He's got to do a better job if they're going to score on this drive.
UNI electing not to use a timeout. Both teams have all three. This is Darius Shepard on that fly sweep. He gets out of bounds. That stops the clock. That helps Northern Iowa more than anything. 44 seconds to go. North Dakota State will have to punt from its own 36.
And Bailey's not really suited either to do the 2-minute drill, but a play like that where you've still got 3 timeouts left, you would have liked, if you're the Bison, for your running back to get down in bounds. And that didn't happen. So now you've got 44 seconds on the clock. They can use the middle of the field. They can still run the football if you're UNI. And I expect them to do that while they try to drive the ball down here and punch one more in before halftime.
Now, the one thing UNI does have in Charles Brown and Darius Fountain, a couple of track stars who can get down the field in the receiving game. Dorleant lets this one bounce out of bounds. Now 42-yard punt. College basketball later today on ESPN. Arizona State takes on 5th-ranked Kentucky. Wildcats falling in the rankings after a loss to UCLA. North Carolina against Texas. Fans of Northern Iowa basketball certainly celebrated UNI's win against UNC earlier this year.
No doubt. It's a big one for the Horns. What can Shaka do?
You're a Texas guy. Shaka wants a bigger turnout this time.
Yeah, it was bare in the stadium. It didn't look like this. It didn't look like the Fargo Dome, that's for sure.
This is Bailey, option. Miller with the cutback. Tripped up by Grimsley and then finally brought down by Nick DeLuca. And there's an injured player for Northern Iowa back at the 20-yard line. Clock continues to run. It's the tight end, Braden Lehman, the senior out of Iowa City. Lehman's high school coach at Iowa City, a terrific tight end. Marv Cook, an All-American at Iowa, two-time Pro Bowler, played in the NFL with the Patriots, the Bears, and the Rams. And while Lehman is not a huge threat in the UNI passing game, he and Sam Rohr, the tight ends, certainly play a big role in what Mark Farley likes to do, running the football.
Yeah, you're right. And when you talk about the power running game, it's good when you've got two tight ends that you can rely on that provide that physical force. And see him here, he's just a man in motion. Let's see if we can. Looked like maybe there was some helmet-to-helmet contact there. From the looks of the way they're working on him, being tender around that neck, you don't want to speculate, but just watching the play here as he comes across, you hope that this young man is okay.
This first half, Ahmad, it's been a defensive struggle for the most part. Field position has played a part. The difference in the scoreboard, points off turnovers.
Yeah, you're right. And the fact that UNI came out and was able to score off of the fumble there, they came back, were able to put points on the board, but you've also got to give the Bison credit. They have not played the ideal first half. I mean, you look at it.
That has a lot to do with the guys in purple, though.
Absolutely. But you look at it. They've got one turnover. They've only got 95 total yards, and they're 3 points down. So this is the type of matchup it is. I fully expect this to be a fourth-quarter game, this to come down to the final minutes and the closing minutes of this game.
And that's why time of possession is going to be interesting, how this all plays out. UNI has had the ball for 17-plus minutes. North Dakota State, 12-plus minutes. The Bison are used to wearing you down, so when they get into the fourth quarter, those body blows start to feel like haymakers. And if the Panthers can keep the ball away from this Bison offense, that changes things. And North Dakota State, as you all know, has won 4 straight national championships. Northern Iowa, over the last 4 years, has played them as tough as anybody. Now we hope that Lehman is okay, moving his feet a little bit there. Mark Farley out on the field attending to him. The Panthers already playing without starting center Robert Ratchey. Ratchey appeared to tweak his leg last week, and judging from that first replay that we showed, it looked like it was a hit to the head.
Just one more look. He's the H-back in motion. You see the collision right there. Helmet-to-helmet contact. It's good to see the young man up on his feet.
By rule, an offensive injury under a minute with the clock running is a 10-second runoff. Please set the game clock to 10 seconds.
Northern Iowa could have taken a timeout to prevent the runoff, but it appears they will be content to take a 3-point lead into the locker room. The Bison will get the ball to start the third quarter. Mark Farley's defense has been the story in this first half. UNI has held the Bison to just 79 yards of total offense in the first 30 minutes. That's a season low for the four-time defending champs. 10-7 Northern Iowa. To the studio now, and Chris Cotter.
Thank you, Anish. Here in our studios in Bristol, Ed Cunningham at my side. And Ed, we heard Anish talk about the defensive numbers here. I mean, even Northern Iowa, 150 yards of total offense there in the first half, 75 of which came on the opening drive, which was really impressive there on the road in the Fargo Dome. You think they're going to be able to move the ball up and down. That wasn't the case.
What's so impressive watching these teams is the level of athletes on the field. I get so used to watching Power 5 schools, and as I'm watching this and watching the size of the athlete, the speed of the athlete, this is really high-level ball. And when you watch these teams that are this good, it's no surprise that you get an App State beating Michigan occagery. You get those types
More
of
so
games.
nowadays,
Jacksonville State almost beating Auburn this year. We saw them last night. So this level, it's some ballers out there.
So this is a really good game we've got going on here between Northern Iowa and North Dakota State. We've got another one. Quarterfinal action in the FCS playoffs. Colgate's one of the surprise teams in this playoff versus stalwart Sam Houston State. It was all about Sam Houston State, the Bearcats early on. Jeremiah Briscoe finds Davian Davis, who stays in bounds, keeps his feet. He scores, and then another one of the great names, Jedediah Lewis, for the Bearcats scoring here. I guess that's a run.
It's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting to watch these offenses and how diverse they are and how the game has just changed. It's awesome.
High potent offense right there, 28-14. Sam Houston State on top. We're going to talk Heisman when we come back here at the half.
What a wild Heisman ride it was this year. Of course, time was running backs own the Heisman Trophy. From 1973 to 88, running backs won 13 of 16 Heismans. And we had legendary men with a gigantic impact on the game, like Barry and Bo, Herschel and Earl, Tony D and Archie Griffin. Of course, Archie twice. But then something happened. Though the game was born on the ground, it evolved through the air, and quarterbacks grabbed the 25 pounds of bronze, and they wouldn't let it go. Since 2013, quarterbacks have won the award. And only one running back, Alabama's Mark Ingram. But this year showed signs that we might be poised for a return of the running back. LSU's Leonard Fournette grabbed the spotlight in his sophomore season, averaging more than 200 yards per game in his first 4 games. But when the Tigers met the Tide, it was Bama's runner, Derrick Henry, who won the day and grabbed the Heisman hype right out of Fournette's hands. Went for 210 yards. It was Henry's second of 4 games with at least 200 yards this season. The only other SEC players to do that, Herschel and Bo, of course, both Heisman winners.
The voice of Joe Tessitore there. Tess will be on hand, as well as a cast of characters tonight when the Heisman is presented. 8 o'clock. It's all presented by Nissan on ESPN and that Watch ESPN app. Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey, Deshaun Watson will also be on hand. Those are your 3 finalists, Ed. But there are also another group of players that were close, maybe didn't get the invite to New York, but could still garner some votes. When you talk about a Baker Mayfield, Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year, Connor Cook, winningest quarterback in Michigan State history, Zeke Elliott, maybe didn't have the year he hoped he would have. Trevon Boykin suffered from some injuries late in the year for TCU. But as a Heisman voter, you can vote for 3. And I'm not going to ask you who you voted first, second, and third.
We're not allowed to say.
You're not allowed to say. But you can tell me who the 3 are that are in that group. And one of them is not Christian McCaffrey.
It was Connor Cook. And I first of all, let me say, the 3 guys who were there deserve to be there. I really wish Connor Cook could have been the 4th to be admitted. I think if people studied what he did, and I got to see Cook during the year, Michigan State's offensive line was thin to start the year and got thinner as it went. They never had a dominant run game. The receivers were good, but they needed all the help they could get. I saw Connor Cook at times put a team completely on his back and play as brilliantly as I've seen in college football since, well, way back in Jameis Winston, but at that level of play. And I felt like because he didn't have the help,
right,
I felt like he at least deserved to be in there. And personally, I saw Christian McCaffrey against Northwestern when Stanford looked like they were in the caveman offense mode and didn't realize, oh, wait, we have a brilliant player.
That was a long time.
I know, but it was a bit burnt in my brain. And then later I saw Cook play brilliantly. So that was the swap out I made on my ballot.
Well, we go from game 1 to game 14, which is a semifinal game for both Alabama and Michigan State, talking about the Cotton Bowl presented by Goodyear. And you talk about a guy like Derrick Henry. How big of an impact will he have? And also Deshaun Watson in the Orange Bowl with Oklahoma and Clemson. Which one of those two is going to have a bigger impact in that game?
Not even close. I think Deshaun Watson by far has the biggest impact. And the reason is I think Alabama's defense, just talking about Michigan State and their struggles up front, I don't think Connor Cook's going to have a good day against Alabama. I think it's going to be really difficult for Michigan State to score more than like 14. But for Deshaun Watson, everything for Clemson goes through him. And what's interesting about it, we know he's a gifted thrower, he's accurate, but it really has been his ability to run the ball in the red zone and between the tackles. He's going to be facing a vicious Oklahoma front. But it was against Notre Dame. We were covering Clemson right after that ball game where the coaches started to realize that Watson was healthy after blowing his ACL on his left knee last year, started to feel comfortable. He is a gifted runner. The second and third steps he takes are really fast. And I think in a game against that type of front, you have the pounding of Wayne Gallman. And I think Deshaun Watson is a huge difference maker here.
It's going to be a great evening on January 1st. The Capital One Orange Bowl, 4 o'clock. Goodyear Cotton Bowl at 8 o'clock. Should be a lot of fun. More to come here at the halftime. Don't go anywhere. Here's a look at the FCS bracket as it stands right now. Jacksonville State, Richmond won last night there in the semifinals. Sam Houston with the lead right now at the half over Colgate. And Northern Iowa with the lead over North Dakota State right now in the other quarterfinal games. I said earlier that the semifinals in FBS were on New Year's Eve. On New Year's Day. They're actually on New Year's Eve, although they might be on MLK Day if we had a big enough bracket in the FBS playoffs to put all these teams in. Why don't we have more teams in the playoffs as opposed to just the 4 that we have?
Well, I did some math, and I think one thing that we're going to have to start considering here is the health of the player. I've interviewed a lot of FCS coaches over the years, and all of them say we can't even practice by the end of the run. We are so beat down from travel and practice and everything else. I won a national championship in 1991 at Washington. We had to play 12 games, 11 regular season, Rose Bowl to win it. We averaged per player per game 50 snaps per game, 600 total snaps I had to play to win a championship. If we had a future where there was a quarterfinal, these young men would play 16 games. They're now averaging 10 more plays per game that they have to play on offense and defense, 960 snaps, which in my day would equate to 7.2 more games I would have had to have played to win a national championship. Here's the bigger point. In those 12 games, I played about 3 dudes, so I was like, I got to really grind to block him.
Yeah.
When I got to the NFL, it was almost every day. The level of play, especially at the line of scrimmage at the FBS level, is like it was in the NFL in the mid-'90s.
Yep.
These guys are playing 7.2 more games than I did against way better competition than I ever played with. You're going to have 4th-string quarterbacks. You're going to have 5th-string running backs in your quarterfinals and your finals. You're going to beat these guys to a point where they can't play.
And no holiday break for them either, because you're going to have to play these games Christmas week. That is for sure. It's certainly a topic of conversation, but the 4 we've got on New Year's Eve, these games and these 2 teams, pretty good.
Yeah.
Great hoop coming up on ESPN Networks for the rest of the day. Doubleheader on ESPN, Arizona State at Kentucky, North Carolina at Texas. Don't forget about over on the SEC Network, you got Kansas State and Texas A&M. Number 1 team in the country later on tonight on ESPN 2. Closing it out with UCLA at Gonzaga. Second half kick from Fargo coming up next.
And he's at the 10-yard line. He's at the 5-yard line. He's going down in, and he's going to score the touchdown.
North Dakota State wins the first FCS title in North Dakota State history.
Stutter step, takes it between left guard, breaks the tackle with the 10, at the 5, touchdown.
Hey, I'll tell you what, in this football team up here, one heck of a job today, guys. Back-to-back national champions.
And Jensen running off the left side is across the goal line. Touchdown!
Something special here that we got within this team. NDSU, the fans, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
And Wentz is going to keep it. Wentz in the end zone. The Dakota dynasty lives on. 4 consecutive titles. It has been an incredible 4-year run for the Bison. They've been dominant at home. They've been dominant in the postseason. But they're down right now, 10-7 at the half to Northern Iowa. Aaron Bailey hooking up with Brandon Smith for a touchdown. UNI up by 3. And Ish Shroff alongside former Texas Longhorn DB Ahmad Brooks. Boy, this first half has been a clinic in toughness, physicality, and tackling.
Well, we knew that. I mean, from the first matchup, both of these teams were beat up after the game. But it's also been skillful. One of the hardest things to do in football is tackle in the open field. We've seen some outstanding plays and individual effort from players. This one started off UNI. Great job of fighting off Kilford coming up with the play. Once again, Farley coming through with the sack. Farley again with an open field tackle that prevented a big play. And then North Dakota, DeLuca there getting involved in the action. And this is just a fine tackle here from the young safety, sophomore safety from Florida, doing a good job, Dempsey there. It's been great to see these two teams tackle, and this is one of the results of what the UNI defense has done to this North Dakota offense.
North Dakota State has been stuck in neutral for most of the first half, less than 80 yards in the first 30 minutes. That's a season low in yards for the first half. UNI has controlled the game. We've had one turnover. The Bison fumbled. That led to 3 Panther points, and that is the difference. The margin for error in the second half will be almost non-existent. Northern Iowa won the opening toss and elected to receive, so the Bison will receive to start the third quarter here at the Fargo Dome. The 4-time defending champs have won 17 in a row in the postseason. They're 46-4 at home since 2010. Down 3, here's Bruce Anderson, who took a kickback last week. A big return, Anderson breaks free. There goes Bruce Anderson. Touchdown, Bison! The third quarter begins with an exclamation point.
Can you say Sports Center top 10? That was fantastic. 2 weeks in a row, this young man has been special in the back end. That was a strong, physical, and fast run. I mean, just watch this play here. This is how you start off. He runs up into traffic. It looks like there he stopped. But he keeps churning those legs, and the young man that they're high on here, Anderson, they believe that this kid has a bright future. He will get more touches when Frazier's gone, but watch it here. A few missed tackles. We talked about tackling early on, but the effort to keep fighting and not go down leads to points and leads to a Bison lead.
15 seconds elapsed here in the third quarter, and like that, North Dakota State has taken its first lead of the ball game. Special teams has been the story for the Bison in the first half. Ben LeCompte flipped field position a couple of times with the punting game, and now Anderson with his second kick return touchdown of the postseason. And now, Ahmad, if you're Mark Farley and that Panthers sideline, how do you respond?
Good thing is, if you're the Panthers, Anish, and I think you're right, is that when they were here back in October, they went into halftime with the lead and weren't able to seal the deal. So now the motivation is, yes, moving on to the semifinals, but it's also making right the wrong you had earlier in the season and beating this team and showing that you can also fight through adversity.
UNI will take it out to the 25-yard line. On their first drive of the first quarter, the Panthers marched 75 yards in 10 plays. and got a touchdown from Brandon Smith off a pass from Aaron Bailey.
And you've got to give Aaron Bailey credit. He started out 4 for 4. Since then, he's now gone, he's 5 of 10 on the game, so he hasn't turned the football over either, though. He's doing a good job of protecting it, and they'll look for him to also get involved with the run game here in the second half.
DeAndre Hall, the Conference Defensive Player of the Year, in at wide receiver. Bailey pumps, and he's sacked. Nate Tangway. The pendulum is swung.
Yeah, and the roof is about to come off this building because these fans are charged. The emotion and the energy that's coming right now from this Bison team's got everybody off their seats, and people are excited. Big play there from the defensive line, a simple 4-man rush. No needed for added pressure, and they get home base to Bailey.
Smith up the middle. No gain. Bailey on third down, he'll run. And he is brought down well short of the marker. So a kick return touchdown by North Dakota State. And then Northern Iowa goes 3 and out.
When you see it there, that shows how uncomfortable this Panther team is in third and long situations. They decide to go with the quarterback draw, put the ball in the hands of Bailey. And this North Dakota defense, though, came out on fire. A 3 and out for them.
Fair catch signal by C.J. Smith makes it inside the 30-yard line. It's already been an exciting opening minute and change here in the third. The NCAA FCS Football Championship presented by Northwestern Mutual. Aaron Bailey, after that last offensive play by Northern Iowa, took what appeared to be a hit on his left forearm. He was holding that left wrist when he came to the sideline. Maybe it's nothing serious, but perhaps something to monitor here in this second half.
Well, the good thing is it's his non-throwing arm if you're UNI and you're a Panther fan. But when you see your quarterback go out, the newcomer of the year in the Missouri Valley Football Conference, you hold your breath.
Bruce Anderson in motion. Easton Stick will keep it straight up the gut and tackled by Brett McMakin, the first-team all-conference linebacker. Easton Stick, the redshirt freshman from Omaha, 6-0 as a starter since replacing the injured Carson Wentz. The Bison today getting more yards on special teams than on offense. Anderson again in motion off the high snap. Stick again, straight up the middle, brought down by Schultz.
We didn't see much of this in the first half from the Bison. What they're trying to do, I think it's a very smart move. They're trying to move Anderson across the field, open up some creases in running lanes by holding the opposite side of that defense. And you've seen it here in the first 2 plays. In this possession, Easton doing a good job of getting inside off of those zone read plays. But this is a new wrinkle that we didn't see in the first half from the Bison.
Chris Kleiman told us North Dakota State needs to be in 3rd and 4, 3rd and short. There were too many 3rd and 8s and 3rd and 9s in the first 30 minutes. Stick gets rid of it on the slant route at Zach Robb for the first down. Nice tackle by Edwin Young to save a bigger play.
That was a fantastic route on the outside. Did a great job of selling it and coming back in. He'll come to the right side of your screen. Good timing there from Easton. He stood tall there in the pocket. Felt the pressure on his backside, but tough enough to stand in there and make a good throw.
And Vra is tough. A sixth-year senior playing with metal plates in both collarbones. He's the only player on this Bison roster who knows what it's like to lose a playoff game. Darius Shepard around the edge, got a block. And a first down and more to the 41 of UNI. It was Shepard who had the game-winning touchdown catch when these two first played in October.
You can see they've certainly got some talent here. Another redshirt freshman here, Shepard, doing a good job getting outside, making things happen. You'll see it here on the replay. Once he gets outside on the edge, doing a good job of turning it upfield.
There's Anderson in motion again. Stick will keep it. Open receiver across the middle. And that's Chase Morlock to the 20. A gain of 20.
That's the third time they've ran that variation of that play with that motion. Once again, this time, though, now they've got them focusing on the quarterback. And what do? They slide a guy right into the seam. Morlock doing a good job of finding open space. Easton, once again, good timing on that play. From coming out of the play fake to getting the ball downfield, this young man is maturing as a passer.
Anderson has been a perfect decoy on this drive for the Bison.
Yes, he has.
Lance Dunn into the game at tailback. Dunn gets the call. Another Florida kid, he's inside the 20-yard line. Sorry, Dunn, an Iowa kid. It's Anderson, the Florida kid. Of course, Chris Kleiman, the head coach for North Dakota State, went to school at UNI. He was on Mark Farley's staff. Those two know each other very well. And Chris Kleiman told us this is the toughest game for him emotionally. And then from what it takes on the field, high snap, Stick having trouble with it, able to recover it. Actually, that was Chase Morlock who fell on it. And the Wildcats are now 3rd and long coming up for the Bison.
Oh, that just hurts. That's like stumping your toe next to the bed. I mean, really, this is one of those plays they're trying to get creative, use a very similar set and motion that they've used to get down the field. The snap a tad bit too high, and now you're looking at a situation where you're in 3rd and long after you did do some work on first down. Not the ideal situation here.
Anderson in motion. He'll get it on the fly sweep, and that play blown up by Deshaun Dexter. Dexter was suspended for the first half because of a second half targeting penalty last week. He comes in and makes an impact play.
This kid is a difference maker. I mean, you see it here. Just great job of focusing on the football. He attacked the ball carrier behind the line of scrimmage. No waiting there. And he is a difference maker. When in the football game, they missed his presence in the first half.
So now Cam Peterson on for a long field goal. He's missed 5 of his last 9. This would be a career long if it's good. And it is no good. So the Bison unable to capitalize after moving into UNI territory. Still a 4-point game at Fargo.
The 2015 NCAA FCS Football Championship, brought to you by Wendy's. Tune into Wendy's High School Heisman on December 13th at 5 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2.
Raucous Fargo, North Dakota State. The Bison leading the Panthers of UNI 14-10. North Dakota State taking the lead on a 97-yard kick return by Bruce Anderson to open the 3rd quarter. Tyvis Smith tripped up by Pierre G. Tucker after a short gain. Nothing has come easy to either offense in this game. Winner on to the semifinals to take on Richmond next week. Bailey in trouble, and then sacked by Brad Ambrosius. And now Bailey pointing at something as he's talking to one of the officials.
Paused during the play. Maybe he thought he heard a whistle.
Marvell July is our head referee. He's in the white hat. There have been a couple of miscommunications between the officials and that Northern Iowa sideline, and it goes back to what Mark Farley told us this week. He said the noise in this building, the crowd, it affects the coaches. He said it affects the officials, it affects the players. He said it probably will affect you and I as well.
Yeah, it does.
Let's see if we can get a clarification exactly what happened. I wonder, was there an inadvertent whistle during the play? Now, Chris Kleiman is not happy with whatever the ruling here is going to be.
I can understand why, because this could negate a big play for this North Dakota State defense.
Well, the officials have to clarify for us and everybody in the building. All right, here's our first look at the play. Well, Bailey just stops here, and then Ambrosius gets the sack.
What a bizarre play.
I mean, I'm not sure I heard a whistle if one was blown, maybe drowned out by the noise. The ball right now is spotted at what was the original line of scrimmage.
There was a whistle in the stands that had some players stop and some continue. We're going to replay second down.
Wow. Let's see if we can hear it.
I don't like this call. I don't like this call, and let me tell you why. First and foremost, they said some players. It appeared as though to me that the only player to stop there was Aaron Bailey, the quarterback. Everybody else played through the whistle.
And now a litany of flags. So the crowd's response was just get louder.
Oh, and it worked.
False start. Office number 69. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
Greg Menard, 96 in yellow, firing up that defense. Bailey will check down to Smith. Tyvis Smith broke one tackle, and he gets back to the original line of scrimmage. MJ Stump with the stop. Well, that do-over in essence just got 19,000 plus in this building fired up, and they've gotten louder on every successive play.
This is a rowdy bunch of fans. I love it.
Rushing 3. Bailey pursued and run out of bounds by Brian Schatz, the senior out of Denmark, Wisconsin. Schatz exemplifies Dakota tough. He grew up on a dairy farm. He used to wake up at 4 a.m., lift some weights, do some chores on the farm, and then go to school.
I love it. And great play call there by defensive coordinator for North Dakota State, Tim Polasek. That time he chose to go with a 3-man rush and dropped off one of his backup defensive ends, Caleb Butler, who actually was spying on Bailey and ended up making him, forced him to have to find his way through traffic.
Fair catch by C.J. Smith after a 39-yard punt. 5:35 to go in the third. It's the quarterfinals of the FCS playoffs. The championship game will be in Frisco next month. Jacksonville State and Richmond won yesterday. They're into the semis. Sam Houston State leading Colgate 34-14. You can watch that game on ESPN3 and with the Watch ESPN app. Sam Houston State, an unseeded team looking to get back to the semis for a second consecutive season. Last year their season ended in this very building. The Bison with a 4-point lead in what has been a tough, physical quarterfinal matchup with Northern Iowa. There's a screen pass to Shepard. And Darius Shepard stood up by a host of white shirts after a gain of a dozen.
Very creative play design. They send short motion over, which kind of made the people in the back end rotate, pushed him back out for a screen. Very creative play call there.
Easton Stick, 9 out of 12, 87 yards, no TDs, no picks. King Frazier squirms through the hole and picks up what appears to be another Bison first down. It is.
Yeah, and talking to offensive coordinator Matt Entz, he said about mid-season, they had to redefine the running back position. They were not getting the production that they needed. And today you've seen the senior Frazier do a good job of leading this bunch. There are a lot of young, talented backs for the Bison in the backfield. But as they continue to run like that and he continues to set that type of example to follow, they're going to be in good shape.
Stick with time. Taking a shot downfield. We've got a flag on the play. DeAndre Hall caught it. No signal from the officials if he was in bounds. And now the side judge conferring. Hall's got 6 picks this season, 13 for his career. I thought at first glance he was out of bounds. And he was out of bounds. It's ruled incomplete.
Tell you what I like about Hall, though.
But a penalty against UNI.
Tell you what I like about Hall is he's got tremendous range as a middle-of-the-field safety and does a good job of finding the football.
Holding, defense number 27 of an eligible receiver downfield, 10-yard penalty, and an automatic first down.
Yeah, we're going to watch number 27, Edwin Young. They get a nice little double move. He commits. Yeah, that contact right there and that left hand grabbing the top of that jersey, he was in good position. Not sure if he had the hold there. He had already played the double move pretty decently.
Frazier using the stutter step, and he's inside the 40. go back to the previous play. Tim Polsek, the offensive coordinator for North Dakota State, told us they wanted to take 3 or 4 shots down the field. They've got to be careful, though, against what might be the best secondary in all the FCS.
Yeah, and you're going to have to do that by trying to dupe these guys, suck them into the line of scrimmage, and that comes by doing play action. We've seen them today have success on play action pass.
There's Anderson out of the I formation. A freshman from Florida who has the biggest play in this game picks up a first down. FCS quarterfinals here in Fargo, North Dakota with Ahmad Brooks and Ish Schroff. UNI led 10-7 at the half. The Bison ran the opening kickback of the third quarter to go up 14-10. The winner will play Richmond in the semifinals next weekend. Anderson stays in on 1st and 10. Screen to Shepard. Dorleant almost jumped it, and he makes the tackle in the backfield for a loss of 3.
Look, Dorleant is a bad man. I'm telling you right now, when you watch this kid on film, he's aggressive. He likes to be up in your face. Now, they ran a very similar play early on in this drive where they sent that short motion, tried to get him back on a screen. This time here, number 2 having no part of it. Great job there of coverage, and the open field tackle to finish off the play, also very special.
UNI defensive coordinator Jeremiah Johnson has a lot of confidence in his secondary. They play man almost exclusively.
Press man at that.
Stick will keep it up the middle. He's to the 30-yard line, setting up 3rd and manageable. Tim Kilfoy, the all-conference safety, on the stop.
And if they can continue this drive, you'll look back to a play like that. It looks simple when you're watching over, what has happened throughout the course of this game. But being able to get into 3rd and short situations with a young quarterback is really, really important.
And you wonder, with Cam Peterson's struggles, this could very well be 4-down territory.
Absolutely.
Peterson, the Bison kicker, has missed 6 of his last 10. Quarterback draw. There's Stick. He's got the first down and more. Finally brought down by McMakin. And we've got a couple of flags at the end of the play.
Number 88, 10-yard penalty, replay 3rd down.
That's the tight end, Luke Albers, the senior fisheries and wildlife management major.
He was trying to block number 2, Mackinton Dorleant, the cornerback. And you'll watch it here, number 88. Watch him pull and tug there. If you're going to hold, you're taught, get inside where the officials can't see that. But when you see that jersey separated from a player, you know it's holding. And more than not, officials are going to call that holding.
3rd and 9. We saw Peterson already miss from 54. Ball right now at the 35, so you're looking at 52, 53 yards from here. They'll set up the screen. It's batted down by Preston Woods. And now a decision for Chris Kleiman. 4th down and 9. Do you take another chance with the kicker? Do you play field position with Ben LeCompte? Do you go for it?
51 James Fisher will snap.
Now they've got the punter in there, LeCompte.
Number 2,
maybe even try a fake here.
This is fake territory. What concerns me, though, is the distance.
9 yards to go. They've got to get to the 26. LeCompte's punt takes a bounce inside the 5. He does it again.
You said it earlier that this guy was probably the MVP of the first half. That thing was special. Look at the sauce and the spin he puts on this thing. I mean, and it lands inside of the 3-yard line at the perfect angle. Great job of covering downfield, but what a weapon he has been for this Bison team today. And just watch the reaction. Hype. Young man, you should be.
Listen, that's backspin that would make Roger Federer blush.
No doubt. Crowd noise.
False start. Offense number 32. The penalty reinforced half the distance of the goal. Still first down.
What an advantage. And this defense, when you play in front of your home crowd, you know they're going to be loud to try to distract the offense, but there aren't a lot of times where a crowd has this much effect on the course of a ball game. They've had it here today.
Bailey will keep it. Just gets out of the end zone. Robbie Grimsley, the true freshman, with the tackle, third down.
Yeah, now this was a good decision here because if he hands this thing off here, it looks like he'd have gotten blown up in the backfield and tackled for a safety. But this is a dangerous area when you're backed up against your end zone.
Second down, pardon me, after the false start penalty. Final minute of the third. Bailey takes the snap from his backup center, and he gave it to Tyvis Smith, who gets back to the line of scrimmage. And danger territory for the Panthers as it's 3rd and 12.
And now if you're on this Bison defense, this is what you're thinking. Keep everything in front of us, in front of the sticks. Come up, wrap up, make a play on the football, rally to the football, and get off the field.
We'll go to the fourth here at the Fargo Dome. They put up 4 fingers for the fourth quarter. A reminder it's a 60-minute game. The Bison up by 4. The 4-time defending champs. 1 quarter away from the semifinals. With Ahmad Brooks and Ish Schroff here at the Fargo Dome in North Dakota. The 4-time defending champion North Dakota State Bison with a 4-point lead as we start the fourth quarter. 3rd and 12 from the 2 for Northern Iowa. Bailey just looking for breathing room for his punter. He gets to the 5-yard line, taken down by MJ Stump.
Real easy to pin your ears back in situations like that, like the Bison did. And how about this Bison defense holding UNI in the third quarter to just 10 yards? They came out on fire after halftime.
We told you, UNI fit the profile of the foil like maybe no other team the Bison have played in the postseason during this championship run. Cooter's going to punt it away from his own end zone. It takes a bounce out of bounds, and great starting field position for the Bison. Well, tonight on ESPN, we will see a new Heisman Trophy winner. Will it be Derrick Henry of Alabama, Christian McCaffrey of Stanford, or Clemson quarterback Deshaun Watson? 8 Eastern on ESPN, the presentation of the Heisman Trophy. I told you about I like McCaffrey. He broke Barry Sanders' single-season all-purpose record. You're in Camp Henry.
I am, yeah, and I was privileged enough my freshman year to watch Ricky Williams win the Heisman, and Derrick Henry is very similar in style in terms of being a big physical runner, and I think what Alabama's been able to do, I think it's his trophy to lose.
1st and 10 from the 37 of the Panthers for Easton Stick and this North Dakota State offense. They give us to Lance Dunn. And the Waterloo, Iowa native picks up 5. This game turned on the first play of the third quarter. Freshman Bruce Anderson ran a kickoff back 97 yards. That put the Bison ahead 14-10. That's where we stand. North Dakota State has not been able to do much offensively. They've relied on field position, defense, and special teams. High snap, Stick, options to Dunn. And he is dropped by Jared Farley, who's had a terrific game for UNI.
Yeah, this kid as a sophomore is showing that that the moment is just not too big. Fights off a block. And what I've noticed, he does a great job of running to the football and taking appropriate angles. Most of these guys he's tackling, if you lined them up and ran them on a 40, he's not going to win that race. But that tells me that that's a guy that understands the science of tackling, the appropriate angle to take, and then getting there, wrapping your arms up around ball carriers and bringing them down.
Big third down for this UNI defense. They were able to get a hold when the Bison got into Panther territory last time out. Off play action. Stick looking for room. There is no room. Drop for a loss. It's Farley again, and it's fourth down. What a job by this Panthers defense given the short field.
Yep, and they brought the pressure. And Morlock, the running back, was actually open, but he couldn't find him. You know, you've got 5-man rush, and they were able to get home, drag the quarterback down. And what a defensive effort there for the Panthers.
And now you've got a 52-yard field goal attempt coming from Cam Peterson. He's missed 6 of his last 10. 1 for 3 last week, 0 for 1 today. This would be a career long. No good. Mark Farley fired up. UNI still in this game. Cam Peterson now 1 for 5 on field goals this postseason in his defense. The 2 misses today have been from 50-plus. This was close, but just went wide at the last second. And as good as special teams has been for North Dakota State this season, they really miss Adam Keller. He was their kicker last year, one of the best in the nation, one of the best this program has ever had. And a guy like Keller was old, reliable. Peterson is still a freshman. He's a walk-on. These are pressure kicks. But the other 2 areas of the special teams game, the punting and the kick return game, has been dynamite.
Exceptional.
UNI takes over from its own 35, 1st and 10. Empty look for Aaron Bailey, the Illinois transfer. And number 70, Jacob Rothmacher, a first-team all-conference guard, moved.
Offense, number 70, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Rothmacher along with Robert Ratchey, the center, who's injured. The strength of this UNI offensive line, both all-conference players. Bailey will keep it, and he is dropped by Ambrosius, who's made some big plays in this second half.
Bailey came into this game averaging over 5 yards a carry. This North Dakota State defense has held him to right under 3 yards a carry, and they've done it with good tackling. You haven't seen him break a lot of tackles, and when you watch him on film, he's a physical runner, and he hasn't been able to do it today. The Bison, sure tackling group.
Bailey to throw. Over the middle, Logan Cunningham the catch, and tackled immediately by DeLuca. This Northern Iowa running game good for 116 yards today. But in the last 4 games, they were averaging about 370. Neither team has cracked 170 yards of total offense. It's been that kind of game. A run here on 3rd down, and Tyvis Smith gets to the 42-yard line. It'll bring up a 4th down for UNI. The Panthers now just 3 out of 12 on 3rd down.
And that play call is an indication to me that this coaching staff for NIU does not have the confidence in Bailey. You go back, he was 4-4 on the first drive. He's only completed 3 passes since that first drive. And so now you're wondering, has the kid lost his confidence to be able to throw the football in crucial and critical situations?
Here's the punt from Cooter. Smith chased back to the 10, where he makes the fair catch. Farley may not have confidence in Bailey and his offense, but he does have confidence in his defense.
The 2015 NCAA FCS Football Championship is presented by Northwestern Mutual, proud to be an official financial planning partner of the NCAA.
Bruce Almighty, the freshman Bruce Anderson, pinball wizard, taking the opening kickoff of the third quarter for a touchdown. That's the difference in the game. Time of possession, usually a statistic. North Dakota State dominates. They're actually behind UNI today. And the Panthers, after the last punt, relying on this defense now to come up with a stop and maybe set up the UNI offense with a short field. Bison ball from their own 10. King Frazier up the middle, turned back at the 15, a gain of 5.
Earlier in the week, this offensive staff for the Bison made a point to say, we have to do work on first and second down and to give our young quarterback manageable situations on third down. And here you see it with good first down yardage, which sets them up with the plays they like to run on second down.
Sticks pass is caught at the 26. A first down. There's Zach Vra. Make it Moody with the catch. Remember, the FCS semifinals continue next weekend on ESPN2 and ESPNU. For more information, go to ncaa.com, the official online home for all 90 championships. Easton Stick, an efficient 11 out of 15, 96 yards. This is done, and he plunges ahead for a gain of a yard.
That time there, the offensive lineman, number 59, Joe Haig, just completely flattened one of the defenders there for the Panthers. He's a bad man. He's first team all-conference talent, and many believe that this young man is an NFL talent and that he's ready for the next level. Great story, came in, gained a bunch of weight as he redshirted, and been a staple on this offensive line.
About 70 pounds.
Which is amazing.
On the ground once again. There's an opening for Frazier. Can Hall run him down? DeAndre Hall able to save a touchdown, but not before a big gain for King Frazier, 51 yards.
And in talking to some of the people close to the program, early on in this young man's career, he just didn't give the effort at times that matched his talent. And the best players, when they figure out how to work harder than the next player, really hard for another person to close that gap, that was a fantastic run once he got in the open field, and also the awareness to stay in bounds so that this Bison team could continue to run down the clock.
This is Shepard on the fly sweep, and he's to the 20-yard line. King Frazier was a young man who began his career at Nebraska, and the Bison normally don't take a ton of junior college or FBS transfers, but Chris Kleiman knew him. He had recruited him for 3 years in high school, and it didn't quite work out in Lincoln, so Frazier made the move to North Dakota State. He backed up a terrific running back in John Crockett last year, and he's gotten the majority of the carries in what has been a rotation at running back in 2015. Stick rolling to his right, throws on the run. Shepard comes back for it and makes the catch inside the 5.
Great athleticism on the part of Easton Stick. Gets the ball downfield. They may look at that one. It see here a better angle from our camera crew. It's like he's got his hands under that one. That's going to be hard to overturn.
No need to review that. It'll be 1st and goal for North Dakota State. And now perhaps a need to review that.
Timeout, Northern Iowa, the first of the half.
No, it's a timeout by Mark Farley. 1st and goal, a key defensive possession for UNI. The Bison looking to go up 2 scores. North Dakota State up 14-10. Their offense has managed just 1 touchdown today, but the Bison threatening. However, we've seen this Northern Iowa defense a couple of times pin to their back, make some big plays with North Dakota State having the football in Panther territory.
We have, and I think the difference has been in this last drive has been Easton Stick. He's made some plays with his feet. He's also had a big throw downfield that got them within striking distance. And the question mark was, what would this team do without Carson Wentz, who I believe is one of the best 2-minute quarterbacks and 4th quarter players in all of the country. Easton Stick doing a good job himself.
1st and goal from the 4. Up the middle, Frazier for the score, and now a flag.
There's no foul on the play. The run on the field is a touchdown.
A 4-yard touchdown run. And the Bison can make it an 11-point lead with the Peterson point after.
King Frazier got stronger as that drive went on. Ended up punching it in on this particular play. Great job there of navigating through traffic. Even took a shot at the end of this play, held on to the football. King Frazier got strong on that particular drive. He and Easton Stick made the plays when his team needed them the most, and that's why you see the Bison here with an 11-point lead.
We told you what this program has accomplished, 4 consecutive FCS titles. The only other college football team to win 4 straight titles, Augustana, a Division III team, did it in the 80s. No college football team ever has won 5 in a row. They've done it with 2 different quarterbacks. If Easton Stick is the guy to shepherd the Bison to another title, it would be 5 titles with 3 different quarterbacks, 2 different coaches. We throw dynasty around in sports a lot. This is a true dynasty. There is success, and that's followed by actual succession, actual change, and yet the product, the standard, has not dipped one bit.
They recruit winners, and that shows up. Despite having a young defense, despite not having all the things go your way throughout the course of the season, they're here and they're fighting in the quarterfinals.
No chance for Charles Brown. Special teams has come up big over and over again for the Bison.
Well, the field position, you see it here, 62-yard punt. Just an amazing punt there, and then you come back and you look at it, another punt inside of the 5-yard line. Outstanding there. LeCompte has been the special player of the day for me. And when you talk about it, yeah, they've made some things happen, but we saw this last week versus Montana. Look, if you aren't tweeting that this is a SportsCenter top 10 play, you're crazy. The way that it came out showed momentum, his ability to run through wimpy tacklers. Great job there by the Bison.
Bailey to the air, far sideline, that's hauled in, and it's Darian Miller, the senior from Missouri. A 1st down for UNI. You look at total yards, the Bison doing most of their damage in the second half, and North Dakota State's defense has been a lockdown unit after halftime. And now you turn Bailey into a thrower. That takes him out of his comfort zone. Downfield. Doris Fountain comes back to the football, makes the catch at the 30-yard line, a gain of 33.
Wow. Great job of keeping the play alive there from Bailey, and he picks on the outstanding young freshman safety, Robbie Grimsley. They like this kid. They're high on him. Loses sight of the football. Great job there of Fountain to work for his quarterback. When he gets outside of the pocket like that, that's a nightmare for defensive backs to be able to cover downfield.
The fake to Smith. Bailey in trouble. Rolling to his right. And tackled by G. Tucker, but a flag comes in. That might have been a horse collar.
I think you're right, Anish. Bailey coming up a little gimpy. It's a very dangerous play that I'm glad they took out of football.
You watch Bailey, and at first glance, he doesn't seem that fast, but we've seen him in this postseason.
Personal foul. Defense, number 47. Face mask, half the distance to the goal, and an automatic first down.
That's on Pierre G. Tucker. It was a face mask. Take another look.
Wow, he got a little bit of the face mask and horse collar there. Very dangerous play.
Well, now an opportunity for UNI. 1st and 10 at the 12. Down by 11. Tyvis Smith out of the backfield. And Smith stumbles inside the 10 to the 9 for a gain of 3. The Panthers with 2 timeouts. The Bison have all 3. Bailey to the air, broken up by C.J. Smith.
His 3rd PBU of the game. Down here, everything tightens up. You know what's coming. Slants or fades. This time here, doing a good job of taking the appropriate angle, gets both hands on the football. C.J. Smith covering like a madman here today in the Fargo Dome.
4 down territory. Is a run on the table here?
I think it is.
Smith in motion. Bailey's going to keep it. And the 230-pound junior out of Bolingbrook, Illinois, gets 3 more. So 4th and 4 for Northern Iowa. This could be 4th in the season.
Yeah, and this is a team that only has 2 touchdowns the last 8 red zone trips of the season. They haven't been great down here in terms of getting touchdowns. They'll need to change their fate here to stay in this ball game.
Well, they'll kick the field goal here to get down with an 8 and then bank on that defense to get the football back.
Yep, with a 2-point conversion.
A 23-yarder coming from Schmatke. The kick is up and true. 1-score game. 4:17 to go in regulation.
Media timeout.
Sports Center tonight after 30 for 30. 4 Falls of Buffalo. Jay Harris and Kevin Connors will recap the Heisman Trophy presentation. Both highlights from Army, Navy, college hoops, the NBA, and the NHL. All right, Ahmad, question for you. Northern Iowa down by 8. They've got 2 timeouts left. Do you think about an onside kick here, or do you trust your defense?
You think about it, but I think with the way that this Bison offense has struggled, they've only scored 14 points here, and you really control them in the first half. I think you put it in the hands of your defense to make a play and to get the football back.
Schmatke to kick it off. Let's see what Mark Farley has dialed up.
Great position. It's going to be,
It is an onside kick. Hall goes up and gets it. Did he go 10 yards? He did not. Wow. Or he was out of bounds.
Crafty play there.
I think he went 10 yards. He was
10.
out of bounds,
Kick your team. Penalty be enforced 5 yards from the out-of-bounds spot. First down, North Dakota State.
All right, so there you go. North Dakota State will get it. Take another look.
Very crafty play and excellent touch there by the kicker to even put. I mean, he kicked the football like a soccer ball there. It was outstanding.
Yeah, he just didn't get it inbounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First attempt for the Bison at the Northern Iowa 44-yard line.
So the kickoff goes OB, the Bison with the football in UNI territory. King Frazier in the backfield. 8-point lead for North Dakota State. Frazier up the middle. And we check in with Chris Cotter in the studio.
All right, Anish, just a reminder, coming up next here on ESPN, we got a college basketball doubleheader. We're going to start with Kentucky and Arizona State. Tyler Ulis, point guard for Kentucky, off to a great start. Just a reminder, too, it looks like Sam Houston State's going to punch their tickets to the semifinals with the win over Colgate. Guys?
All right, thank you, Chris. Sam Houston State looking to get to the semis as an unseeded team for the second straight year. The Bison are going to eat up clock here. Play clock down to 8. 2 tight ends and a fullback. Morlock spins off his lineman. And he's to the 40-yard line. 3rd down. And UNI will use its second timeout with 3:28 to go.
Northern Iowa, the second of the half.
A big 3rd down coming up in Fargo when we come back. Winner of this game moves on to the semifinals. Richmond awaits. If North Dakota State holds, the semis will be at the Fargo Dome next week. If UNI pulls it off, the Panthers will go to Richmond. 3rd and 6. Play action, stick in trouble. Shovel pass to Morlock. And Morlock taken down at the 36-yard line. That was some improvisation, but it'll still bring up a 4th down.
What a great play. Recognizing the blitz, they brought the pressure there.
Timeout.
The outside.
Northern Iowa, the 3rd and final of the half.
Stick doing a good job. Good play. Trying to create his own legacy in this part of the ball game late in the 4th quarter to lead his team to a victory.
Again, the winner will play Richmond in the semis. The Bison during this 4-year championship run have not had to leave Fargo until the championship game. So if they win, they'll be home for the semis, with Illinois State losing last night. Sam Houston State on its way to getting a date with Jacksonville State. All right, about 4th and 2. It's 21-13. We see the punter, Ben LeCompte, come out. In years past, maybe with Brock Jensen at quarterback or Carson Wentz, I could see Chris Kleiman going for the win right here. UNI used its final timeout. LeCompte has been so good at flipping the field, so good in the punting game. Do you agree with the call?
I do. Make them drive the length of the field.
Nobody back deep for Northern Iowa. LeCompte's kick. It's going to be picked up by a Panther player. Risky move inside the 5 by DeAndre Hall, but UNI will retain possession. They're out of timeouts, and they've got 3:02 left in regulation. They need 8 points.
We figured this thing would come down to the 4th quarter. And just another fine special teams play for the Bison. Once again, pinning this offense. Wow, that's just great balance, great control there. Fantastic play on the part of the special teams players for North Dakota State.
Oh, here we go. Ball spotted at the 7. Northern Iowa with its season on the line. Bailey under pressure, sacked in the end zone. Brian shots, it's a safety, and that should seal it for the Bison.
You asked, was it the correct decision? Yes, it was. When you have perhaps the best punter in FCS, he pins him back. Bailey with nowhere to run, and those plays are so costly. You see why? Because if you get a sack at that point, it turns into points. And the Bison defense doing a good job of pressing. This is a simple four-man rush. Great move there by Schatz, a swim move to get around the offensive guard. And that is one of those plays. If they continue to win and get to the championship, you look back at plays like that make you a legendary household name for stepping up big in the fourth quarter.
This program, the Bison, they have become the flagship school of not just the Missouri Valley Conference, but the entire FCS. Game Day has visited Fargo twice. This run of success, 4 straight titles, and this championship resolve. Call it what you will. We've seen it on display in the postseason so many times, a number of times last year. They stymied Montana in round 2, and really in this second half, North Dakota State took control of this football game. It started with a kick return for a touchdown by Bruce Anderson. I'm not sure if we've ever given the Player of a Game award to a punter, but my vote would go to Ben LeCompte this afternoon.
Mine too, absolutely. And that was actually the first safety of the year for this Bison defense. What a time for that play to come at.
So now Northern Iowa will free kick it. North Dakota State up by 10, less than 3 minutes to go. Mark Farley out of timeouts. And if the Bison run out the clock here in the next 3 minutes, that means they can stay home for the semifinals against Richmond. Richmond knocked off Illinois State last night. Illinois State and North Dakota State met in the championship game last year. That was a thriller, with the Bison winning thanks to a heroic final drive by Carson Wentz. There is Ben LeCompte, the hero this afternoon, 19 in yellow. UNI is going to have to try another onside kick. Darius Shepard at the UNI 47-yard line. So the Bison say, go ahead, kick it over our heads if you dare. Bouncing ball, goes up in the air. Vra, the 6th-year senior, comes down with it, and North Dakota State has the football.
The most exciting unit is the hands team, and you've got to have a player there that can secure the catch, handle the pressure, and know he's probably going to take a shot. You see it here. It's great timing. Does a good job of catching it at his highest point. If he doesn't, that opens up for Fountain there to maybe make a play on the football. That might have sealed it.
He's the only player on this Bison team who has tasted defeat in the postseason. 2010 in the quarters to Eastern Washington. Frazier. UNI cannot stop the clock. Northern Iowa started the season 2-4, then went on a 7-game run to get to the postseason. Big win in round 1 against Eastern Illinois, knocked off Portland State on the road in round 2. But their season appears to be coming to an end here at the Fargo Dome. A valiant effort nonetheless by the Panthers. Frazier again to the 34-yard line. 3rd down. The Bison will continue to let the clock bleed. Looking ahead, Ahmad, when these two teams played in the regular season, it was just a physically and mentally exhausting affair. Both coaches admitted they were not the same in the following game, and both lost the following game. UNI to Western Illinois, North Dakota State saw its 26-game home win streak come to an end against South Dakota. There's a chance the Bison may have to play on Friday night. Richmond would have the extra day to prepare. Now, North Dakota State would be at home but you have to wonder what sort of physical toll a game like this takes on a team. Frazier picks up a first down, and that'll seal it.
I've got to give Frazier some credit here. You talked about the physicality and how these two teams and the styles that they play will take a toll on you. You know what's taking a toll on this NIU defense? King Frazier. This young man has been special in the second half, particularly the last 3 drives. Coming into the drive before they scored a touchdown, the Panthers were leading in rushing. And on that particular drive, they took it over. And we said, coming into this game, win the rushing battle. And it's just been too much for this Panthers defense as these Bison, the guys up front, started leaning on them, and King Frazier started running with extreme aggression and anger.
Victory formation. Easton Stick takes the knee. Chris Kleiman getting this crowd fired up.
What an environment.
Easton Stick was the backup quarterback to start the season. The starter, Carson Wentz, a first-round caliber talent. And despite early adversity, despite an injury to their best player, the Bison continue to win and advance. North Dakota State back into the semifinals, 1 win away now from defending their championship. It'll be North Dakota State and Richmond next weekend right here in Fargo. The Bison advance 23-13. Now to the studio and Chris Cotter.